I do think it's kind of like the Epstein files. You have to keep talking about it, or they legitimately will just forget that it exists. And I think that people need to keep screaming about it. Okay? Group grind zones. We want them. I don't understand why you couldn't just give us one group grind zone in Adonia. I'm going to be honest with you. There is one particular grind zone here. This one. Okay? This is Tenebrum Castle, for those of you that don't know. The one with the hippogriff thing sitting in the middle. Yeah, what if you just had 4 people standing at the different towers and then you all came to... and you killed mobs until you came together for the boss? What a crazy concept. What a crazy idea. And on Elvia, it was a group grind zone, but then on the main servers, it was a solo grind zone. Took me 5 seconds, yeah. Took me 5 seconds. You need to give us group grind zones. We are not going to forget about it.
Spots have not need brain.
Yeah. I like tower spots have not need brain. That's okay. It's all right. Okay? And this is another example of like the brainlet behavior where it's like first they came after the PvPers and I didn't say anything because I wasn't a PvPer. Then they came after the pack-to-pack grinders and I didn't say anything because I liked my tower spots. Right? I'm telling you, all that's going to happen here is that eventually you're not going to like tower spots anymore. Right? Because we don't have anything else to do. This is a sandbox MMO. We're supposed to be able to grind whatever we want, right? Like, we used to have tremendous amounts of options. We don't have options anymore. It's which solo tower spot do you want to go to today? Well, I guess I'm going to do this today. That's not fun. People do not have a good time.
Okay, hear me out. We give you group grind zones, but weekly gated.
Like, what's really incredibly frustrating to me about group grind zones, and this honestly might be its own video. I'm gonna be real. This might be its own video. I'm about to... I'm gonna be real. Something inside me, I don't know what that text-to-speech just did to me. I'm about to explode. I'm about to explode. I think group grind zones... What is so frustrating to me about group grind zones is that what the developers said, and I quote, was that, well, we heard that you guys don't like Dekia spots, so we stopped giving you Dekia spots. Okay, but really, they gave us every single Dekia spot in the game except for the group ones. So, so you just kept feeding us this dog shit slop until you had to actually develop a group grind zone. And then you said, okay, well then now we're going to very decidedly choose to listen to feedback. And it's funny because, like, we told you we don't want any more Dekia zones. That is true. Because you keep, like, reduce, reuse, recycle. We talked about this, right? And so they were like, we're going to come out with these new grind zones. And we got absolutely gypped out of these new grind zones so hard. This was such a pathetic excuse for grind zones. I've never seen anything like it. I'm just gonna be honest with you. First of all, they said we were gonna get 4 grind zones, 4 new grind zones. Okay, and so what we get is a tower, and so we are, keep in mind, these are meant to replace the other Dekia spots we were supposed to get, which were Dekia Miramont and Dekia Gyfin, which were supposed to be group grind zones. Crazily enough, those were supposed to be the group grind zones. And they took away the group aspect, and they gave us solo zones. So we're getting initially on the fact that we're literally not getting a group grind zone. Then we get dog shit, non-innovative tower design Hong Lim base. Do you know the reason people like Hong Lim?
Get your own cheer Dex 100. I would actually prefer more group content, not the tower spots.
Yeah, we're advocating for both, bro. People like Hong Lim because it makes the most money. Do you think that people would go to Hong Lim base if Jade Forest notably made like 400 more million silver per hour? be honest with yourselves. If Jade Forest made 400 million more an hour, like 30 or 40% more than Honglim Base, do you really think that Honglim would be as popular? No! Everyone's going to Jade Forest. It's not a question. It's not even a question. And you're like, well, nah, it's still a chill spot. Hear me out. Hear me out. And this is going to be a crazy idea, so try to stay with me on this, okay? All right, I know this is going to be really outside the box for a lot of us, okay? But what if Mirrorwalk's Labyrinth made more money than Honglim? Crazy idea. Crazy idea. Holy shit, what an idea. Because, see, that's a chill tower spot. You just sit there, you kill bugs. You just sit there, you kill the bugs. Really chill thematically, and then you all come together at the end, you kill the boss. Right? You all come together, you kill the boss. Right? People don't grind these locations because, like, the devs have gotten the wrong idea that all we want is tower spots. Okay? Like, part of the reason I'm harping on Honglim so much is that the devs just misunderstand. And this goes back to, I popped off on somebody when the stream started about not being able to read a graph and not being able to interpret analytics. Our developers, I think at a core level, have kind of an elementary school understanding of how to interpret data. So they have a lot of data, okay, but their ability to understand what the data is actually saying is elementary at best. Okay, so what they see is that, wow, people really like our tower spots. People really like Honglim Base. We should make more tower spots. Okay, what they don't realize is that the reason that people are grinding at the tower spots, or that we're grinding at Dekia, right? Like the reason people were grinding at Dekia is not because we liked tower spots necessarily. Now, some people do. Nothing wrong there. But it's because it made the most money at the time. That's what made the most money, so that's where adventurers went. So they get this like wrong understanding of this incorrect understanding of what we like as adventurers, right? And they're like, oh, okay, well then, yeah, Yazrid Highlands, another tower spot. Oh, people love Yazrid. Well, Yazrid makes like crazy good money for that AP level. Of course people are gonna like that. If you make it so that Darkseeker's Retreat is making substantially more money than Yazrid Highlands, then people are going to go to Darkseeker's Retreat, right? And the same thing with Tungrad Ruins. If Tungrad Ruins makes more money than Elvia Trolls does, right? People are going to go to Tungrad Ruins in most cases. Now, sometimes people are like, I just want to chill grind, so I'm going to do the tower spot, and that's fine. Right? I'm not saying that tower spots are always bad. They're not. But I am saying that our developers misunderstand why so many adventurers grind at these spots. It's because they're terrible. And I'm going to take it a step further. And this is, you know what? Before I go on that, pause that. I'm going to table that idea. Hold up. Pause. And we'll get to it in a second. I'm sure I'll remember. Honglim. We also got, because we need to finish this thought. We had Honglim Base, and we also got, what was it? Dokebi? Right? Where's Dokebi? Which is, you guessed it, another tower spot. In fact, that's the most AFK spot in the entire game. That's as chill as it gets. So, we didn't want Dekia because it is reduce, reuse, recycle. So instead, they just give us reduce, right? Which is just the tower aspect of it. It's like, okay, well, we're just going to keep giving them more tower zones, right? Then, because remember, we're supposed to have 4 grind zones here. We're only at 2. We get Golden Pig Cave. Okay? We get Golden Pig Cave. All right? And for once, it's finally barely not a tower spot. Barely not a tower spot. Thank God. But wait! You can only do it when it's open. Let's weekly gate the only spot that isn't a tower spot. Then, when we force everyone to go to tower spots, we have the copium of saying, well, our data shows that adventurers love tower spots. What a crazy good idea. But Blue, what about the 4th grind zone? What if we just release Pig Cave again? What? So, like, The fourth grind zone is the third grind zone again. And this goes back to what we were talking about before, where these just don't want to innovate. Like, they don't want to. So we got 2 tower spots, and the only spot that isn't a tower spot is weekly gated, or is daily gated. What are we talking about? What's happening here? Right? And then we get it twice. Reduce, reuse, recycle. So that we don't act. What if we came out with like a Bamboo Legion grind zone? I'm just throwing it out there as an idea. What if Gumi Hussy summoned an army of super sexy foxes that we weirdly wanted to have sex with, right? Like, what if we had Apex Shangui a grind zone or something? What are we talking about? What about Land of the Morning Light Part 2? What if we did anything with this content? There are some adventurers that I swear to God, literally, the entire map on Land of the Morning Light Part 2 is black. It's just all of this is black. All of this is black. This is black. This is black. All of it. And there's like a line that goes directly to the shrine where they get their sovereign weapon. And then that's it. Right? You could almost draw a dick. That's it. They mapped out. They didn't even bother auto-pathing back to town. They mapped back to town and said, get out. Like, what? There's not even a reason to be up here. Like, there's literally there's nothing to do up here. What if there was a grind zone at I don't even want to say that because someone's going to call me racist.
Even Pearl Abyss pushed R on putting out new grind zones for Land of the Morning Light Part 2.
Yeah, bro. Like, it's annoying, and I don't even necessarily want to hear me out. Like, I don't even really want to ask for grind zones up here because inevitably they're gonna be like, all right, here's another tower spot that is solo. Cool, great, excellent, thank you. That's great. It's awesome, super great. Now, moving back to the matter at hand, so we get less content that we bargained for, and we didn't get group grind zones. Now let's circle back to my point that I was going to make before again, because I want to help reinforce to you that, again, I think that our developers just do not understand how to interpret this data at a level. So, like, we used to have developers that understood us as a player base, and so they had data, and, like, they didn't take feedback, but at least, the game was headed in a good direction because, like, they could just interpret the data. They didn't have to listen to feedback. They just did what they needed to do, and everything was fine. Now we have developers that don't understand how to read data, and we're cooked, right? And we're absolutely cooked, right? Because what these devs are saying is they're saying, well, our data shows us that adventurers typically, like, overwhelmingly do not appreciate or go to group grind zones at all. And what this means is that people don't actually want group grind zones. We know that they're saying it, but they don't actually want group grind zones because they don't actually, in practice, ever use them. That's what they think, okay? And again, this is a poor interpretation of data. An elementary school child, and again, I used to be a teacher, I would expect from somebody with less than a high school level understanding of how to interpret graphs, and honestly, roughly a high school level of understanding. Like, a high schooler could look at this and say, well, not as many people grind at Castle Ruins as grind at Orc Camp. Therefore, we think that people don't prefer party spots. People think that people prefer the solo spots, right? I could understand a child like interpreting the graph in that way. So I'm just gonna lay it out so that they understand. The reason that no one grinds these grind zones, and I'm approaching this as calmly as I can, is because they are the lowest silver per hour in the entire game. In fact, they are so low, in fact, that they are actually losing you money at some of them. They, like, in silver per hour. So you can literally choose to grind Basilisk Den and lose 50 million silver an hour, or you can go to Centaurs and make 600 million an hour. Well, it's a tough one, and I really do like my friends, but ironically enough, if I just duo grinded Centaurs with a buddy of mine, I would make more money than the intended group grind zone at this AP level. Okay, like it's plus 600 million an hour or minus 50. It's a brain teaser. Which one are we gonna go to? And this goes back to, again, the thing that we talked about in a previous video, about efficiency, right? Adventurers are only willing to sacrifice a certain amount of efficiency. So, like, it's okay to be, like, mildly or moderately inefficient with the way that you play the game, but adventurers are not going to, like, just hard grief themselves. Eventually, they just won't do the content anymore. So, in this case, the reason that nobody does group grind zones is not because they don't want to, it's because they legitimately would just make more money solo by a factor of 10 to 15. Like, literally. And honestly, the crazy part is some people don't even know that Waragon's Nest even exists. Like, it's not even uncovered. They didn't even, like, the main story brought them through Basham's, and you say Waragon's, and a new player's like, who? They don't even know that this is over here. And that's honestly for their benefit. Everyone's like, just don't tell them, it's better this way. Like, now we're gonna move up to the next thing. It's like, do you want to grind Altar Imps, Castle Ruins, or Orc Camp? Or Baragi Den? Or Histria? Like what's the silver per hour at these grind zones? Where's Basilisk Den? Oh, here it is. Right. I'm sorry. Almost didn't see it all the way down there at 0 silver an hour. Oh, hold on. I'll move this up. Literally 0. Because no one has grinded it. Okay. It was at negative 50 the last time I recorded an hour here. Okay. You literally lost money on the tent buff. All right. The only spot in the game you actually lose money on a tent buff, by the way. There's Waragon's Nest fighting it for the bottom spot. All right. Then you move up and you're like, okay, well, what's the requirement for Altar Imps? What's the requirement for Altar Imps? I have a grind zone sheet for this. Altar Imps. Oh, here it is. Untested, yeah. So it's like 700 to 800. So Swamp Fogans, Elvia Sonal, Elvia Orcs competes with Altar Imps. Okay, let's take a look at the silver per hour on Garma. Holy shit. All right, so Altar Imps, honestly, it's still only got 132 hours. So you literally still can't even tell. Yeah, there's 5, 2, 4. These are the top played classes, have 5 hours. Half the classes of the game haven't even played here. Okay? Like, it's so bad that you legitimately can't even... We can't even get the data on the spot. We can't even get the data on this spot. And the funny thing is, the devs will look at this because, hold on, it's right next to Orc Camp. Look at Orc Camp. 1,926 hours recorded at Orc Camp. Okay? Do you know why? It's because Orc Camp is significantly more silver per hour. Okay? Significantly. If you actually had the correct data on Altar Imps and there was enough hours there to actually have a fair, like, mean and actually come up with a decent figure, it's literally at least 1 to 200 million less an hour. You're like, well, that's not that much. It actually is when you're only making 950 million an hour. You make 1 to 200 mil less an hour, that's like 30% worse. That's ass. Okay, that's terrible. You look at Castle Ruins. Is it not even on the... Castle Ruins. 665 million silver an hour for a almost 800 AP required grind zone. Okay? Honglim Base or Castle Ruins. God, it's a toughie. It's a toughie. Very close. Actually, Honglim's 950 AP. I apologize. Maybe Orcs is better. 950. So you're talking about 300 million silver less an hour. At least, on average.
The only thing keeping me from quitting the game is the hope of the 100 floor dungeons to be amazing. Where you can climb the tower with your friends or solo and also fight monsters and even other players along the way Copium.
Silly. So silly. What 100 floor dungeon? What dungeon? I'm so sorry. Do you think that we're getting a 100 floor dungeon because they mentioned it 2 years ago for 6 seconds at the Heidel Ball? He's new here. Guys, I think that the game's really going to turn around when we get our climbing life skill that Jay promised us 7.5 years ago. I think that the climbing life skill is really going to revolutionize life skilling, and I can't wait for it to come out this year at the Calpheon Ball. Is going to be so sick. So sick. Brother, there is no guarantee we're getting a 100 floor dungeon. Number one. Number two, when we do get the 100 floor dungeon, and I sincerely come in here right now. Come here, talk to me. Because I mean this. When we get the 100 floor dungeon, it will be lower than your expectations. No matter how low you try to get that bar, it could be low enough that you're trying to step over it. It will be lower than your expectations. It's not even a question. So group grind zone, shunny, it'll be solo. I can't wait to do it all the time. Honey, weekly gated, sweetie. I can't wait to try it even, even as a new player. I can't wait to, 870 gear score required. Sweetie, chill, okay? It is 100% going to be a disappointment. Just like, and I'm calling it, you can quote me on this now, AI maids are going to be a joke. The AI maid that they implement to the game is going to be a complete, underwhelming disaster of a joke. Okay? What we are all expecting is to have an AI girlfriend that we can make as racist as we are. Okay? All right? And that we can have sex with in our Heidel residence. All right? That's the expectation. All right? What we are going to get is something that literally just refers you to what is essentially still somehow worse than a Chris Poly guide for various tutorials in the game. I'm calling it right now. Like, you will ask the maid how do I do cooking? And the maid is going to give it to you in such a convoluted shit way that you're going to go back to YouTube and it's either, hello guys, welcome back to Chris Poly channel. Okay, to enjoy, watch my video. Like, okay. Or you can come back to, all right, listen up. This is going to be another 2.5 hour guide about how to cook in your residence. Okay, and that's my guide. All right, so those are your options. You can either have the 2.5 hour guide, or you can have the guy that can't speak English, even though he's been making BDO content in English for the last 5 years, or you can have the slop AI maid that can't explain shit to you. Okay, the bar is low here. Okay, the bar is impossibly low. Impossibly low. Okay, we need to get back to the point on hand, which is group grind zones. Okay, so my point in this is that the only good duo grind zone at its particular AP level, okay, is actually Turos. That's right. The only grind zone that, like, and to be clear, Turos, when Turos was a duo grind zone, Turos was still lower silver per hour than comparable spots, like base Turos. But, like, it was reasonable. Like, people could still go do it with their duo partner, and like it was like, you know, it was reasonable, but it was still lower than the spots that were comparable at that AP level. Then you move up to like things like the Dekiaturos. Dekiaturos was extremely competitive, and people did that a lot. And then you look at Dekia Olens. People do Dekia Olens all the time, right? And that's because it's the only 3-man spot in the game. I'm so sorry. It's the only group grind zone in the game right now. Okay, so like here. Again, the devs are looking at these grind zones. You look at Abandoned Monastery. We didn't even talk about Abandoned Monastery. This is a duo grind zone that I swear to God makes 200 million silver an hour. Okay, and the required AP to grind here is comparable to... You need 826 effective AP to grind this zone. Okay, you can almost grind Jade Forest for that amount of money. If I go to Garmoth and I say, hey, how much money do you make at Abandoned Monastery? 0. 0. I'm telling you right now, as someone that has done a ton of Abandoned Monastery is worth probably about 200 million silver an hour. Maybe 200 million an hour. Okay, it's maybe 200 mil. And the reason is it's extremely dependent on Dawn earrings, which are now absolutely tanked. You're like, oh, but it's up the... Never mind. Yeah, okay. Dawn earrings used to be worth like 340 mil a piece. These used to be, in their heyday, these were worth a fortune. Now they're selling for 123, right? Like, this is rough. Okay, and you're getting like one of these an hour. But what else are you getting, Blue? What else are you getting? Nothing. Nothing. You're getting relic crystal shards. And knocked over by stalactites. Woo! You're getting like 4 of these an hour. It's crazy. Let's go! Yeah! Now you get like 15 of these an hour, maybe. Okay? You get nothing. You lose. Okay? It is a terrible, terrible grind zone. Okay? Abandoned Monastery. And again, this is a spot that's supposed to be comparable to Orcs. Right? Like, you're supposed to be making... Like, this is making like a quarter of the amount of money that you can make at the comparable solo spots. All they really need to do to fix group grind zones is to simply buff the group grind zones that are already in the game. Stop taking away group grind zones and just buff the ones that are already here. Then you don't even have to... I'm not even asking you to design a new spot. Okay? Which I understand is hard. It takes like a day. Alright? But like, for the love of God... If you just buffed AM, if you buff Castle Ruins, if you buff Altar Imps, God forbid, Bassy Den, Warragon's Nest, I know, insanity, crazy talk here, but you buff those to be comparable grind zones, you're going to end up with a situation where, and this is going to sound crazy, new players, do you know how new players, hey guys, what's the most common grind zone in the game for new players? A lot of new players are going to say Miramok. Because they like playing with their friends. The potion spots? Yeah, the solo spots are the potion spots, right? But believe it or not, if you ask new players, like, hey, is Miramok a competitive grind zone with Mancham Forest? Yep. Yes, it is. Absolutely. Right? In fact, it's better than things like Polys. Right? Like, it's a competitive low-end grind zone. So, believe it or not, this is actually an extremely popular new player grind zone. Crazily enough, it is one of the only options for a brand new player to grind with their friends is Miramok Ruins. And it's funny. It's grooming you for more tower spots. Us. Okay. Yeah, we're grooming our new players to like tower spots. But at least it's a group grind zone. You know, you can't go wrong, but you'll notice that Mirrormock, nobody complains about this. Nobody complains about this because it's actually a competitive zone and it's used very frequently. The only reason that the potion spots are more common for new players is because they have to grind those spots in order to get, like, for their weeklies and stuff, to get their infinite potion. But, like, if all 3 potion pieces all dropped from all of these grind zones, you would see it, again, it's relatively even with the rest of them, right? And that's from somebody that literally made the new player guides. So, like, new players talk to me all the time about their goddamn grind zones. A lot of them grind the potion spots, sure, right? Some of them grind... honestly, not very many people grind centaurs. It's not as common anymore. I see more people grinding desert nagas and desert fogans in most cases. But, like, a lot of them do grind either polys or Mirrormock. They like this. They like that zone. But again, all of that to state that that is a competitive grind zone and it's actually used. If Abandoned Monastery, Altar Imps, Castle Ruins, Bassi Den, Waragon's Nest... Yeah, if all of these spots were competitive, people would actually grind there and use them. But they're not competitive. And the crazy thing is, as you move up, Mirrorwalk's Labyrinth. How much AP is required for Mirrorwalk's Labyrinth? We're going to do a... This is going to be fun. 856 effective limit. Okay? 856 effective limit. What is this? 950, 920. Okay, so it's a little lower than that. I think Jade is a little bit lower. Okay, so it competes with... What's just below Jade and Honglim? Is it like Histria? It's technically requires more, like 100 more AP to grind than Histria. Orcs. Perfect. It competes with Orcs. Mirror. Oh. All the way down here underneath stars and pillars. By the way, only 148 hours. Okay. Whoa! We're really pumping at 760 million silver an hour. Like... The hardest grief and the worst part about Mirrorwalk's Labyrinth is that you cannot use Agris at this spot because the devs actually just forgot that it exists. And so Agris has not been adjusted at Mirrorwalk's. Okay? Now, in fairness, I'm fairly certain they didn't adjust it at Orcs either because, you know, they don't care about early mid-game players like that. But it's even worse at Mirrorwalk's. It's even worse down here. This is terrible. It's atrocious. I grinded this. This is like... If you don't get an iridescent lightstone, you're absolutely cooked, bro. Because if you don't get an iridescent lightstone, it's over. It's over. It's the whole grind, right? It's the whole grind. You're gonna make 280 million an hour in trash loot here. 280 mil an hour in trash. Everything else is basically worthless. But don't worry. You cheer for the ancient magic crystal of nature drops that are worth 10k. Not joking. Happens. Okay. Shit grind zone. But people would grind here if it was competitive. You buff this up 200 mil an hour, make it competitive with Orcs. Okay. Actually, it needs to be more than that. I'll be honest with you. You're not making 763 mil an hour here. You're making a lot lower. Because if you don't get an iridescent, you're making like 300 or 400 mil an hour. They need to completely not rework the grind zone, just the drop table. If they made the drop table competitive with Orcs, people would grind here. They would. Like 100%. All they need to do is buff up these already existing group spots to a reasonable level and people would use them. Instead, we keep coming out with these new solo spots and then we get statements from our dev team that are like, we've come out with way too much group content lately. We want our solo adventurers to understand that we're dedicated to them. We are not going to be releasing group content for the foreseeable future. Not joking. That was said. Literally said at one of our more recent dev notes. Like, all of the feedback that we constantly give our dev team is, yo, we want group grind zones. and repeatedly. It's not that they won't give us group grind zones. It's they literally make a point to tell us we're taking away another group grind zone from you. We're taking away Turos. We're taking away Paddocks. Soon we're going to be like, I guarantee you that if they come to Castle Ruins and they're like, hey guys, we understand that you guys don't like grinding Castle Ruins, so we're going to make it a solo spot and buff the drop table. And then what's going to happen is then all of a sudden people are going to grind there because it's suddenly more silver per hour and it's competitive silver, and they're going to be like, favorite there, good job. Okay, like they're like the in the Goonies film, right? Hey, you guys! Like that's literally our devs. Holy shit! Conehead looking. Like because they don't understand how to interpret data. As I was saying before, they think like we can tell them until we're blue in the face. We can tell them we want group grind zones. Every single YouTube video that they have, it's where are our group grind zones? That Enclave goes live for the patch notes. We want group grind zones. You guys need to keep blanket carpet bombing these. Like straight up. Like it needs to be oppressive. You guys need to like don't even let them talk to you unless you group grind zones. Group grind zones. You have an opportunity to speak with a group grind zone. Okay, because otherwise you're never getting group grind zones. Okay? You're never gonna get it. Okay? And I understand players that are like, I like grinding solo. Yeah. Okay? That's not the argument here. It's like the moron that the $5 dono earlier that the guy was like, well, I like the Tower spots. Hey, you guys! That same person. Same person. Guys, solo spots are good too. We need diversity in the game. If you don't say anything, when they keep taking content away, because you're like, oh, well, I don't do that content, eventually they come for you. And then you have no content because no one is left to fight for you. Okay? Like, first they went for the group grinders, and I didn't say anything because I didn't group grind. Right? Then they went after the pack-to-pack grinders, and I didn't say anything because I don't like pack-to-pack grinding. And then they weekly gated my tower spots, and no one was there to fight for me. Yeah. It's a problem. You gotta stand together on stuff, guys. Like, we're not asking for solo spots to be removed. We're asking for group spots to be added or buffed. And to be clear, we don't even need to add new group zones. You can simply morph the already existing zones into group zones sometimes. So like Tenebrum, for example. Perfect example. You go to Elvia, it's a group zone. Right? 4-man group zone. Done. Not hard. Not hard. Not in Elvia, solo zone. Then everyone is happy. Then the tower spot people are happy. The solo grinders are happy. The group grinders are happy. Everyone's happy. Happiness. Okay? But yeah, that's where we're at. Yeah, I understand that the majority of the time, if the question was phrased, do you want to grind solo or do you want to grind in a group more? Most people are going to say, I want to grind solo more. That's not the option here. This is like, would you want the option? Would you be okay with the option of having a group grind zone? And the vast majority of players, yes, they would like the option to be able to play with their friends. Right? No one's saying that you need to be forced to or that it needs to be the best grind zone in the game. But the vast majority of adventurers do feel, as you can see by the poll, this is actually one of the most engaged polls I've probably ever had. Just to be clear. The vast majority, 90% of adventurers, would like the option at least to be able to grind in a group sometimes. Minority, though, by the way. And I'm curious that when this comes out on YouTube...
Even if I never group up to grind, it should be an option in a damn MMO.
I'm curious when this ends up coming out on YouTube, what the comment section's gonna say. Alright, guys. That's the video on group grind zones. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'd like to hear what the community has to say about it. Yeah, let me know. Remember to like, comment, subscribe.